Hello and welcome to the Detroit Public Television's Candidate Conversations. I'm Vicki Thomas.
And I'm Jerome Vaughn. These conversations are part of Detroit Public TV's My Vote initiative, a program that has proven instrumental in helping Detroit voters learn more about the candidates running for office. Today we will hear from the candidates in District 2, George Cushingberry Jr. and Richard Bowers.
And the format will be simple. Questions will be asked of each candidate, and each candidate will have approximately a minute to answer. At the end of our conversation, you will have 30 seconds to address voters. And remember, all of these conversations can be found on the myvote.org website.
So let's begin our District 2 conversation with a brief introduction of Mr. Cushingberry.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to Detroit Public TV. I'm George Cushingberry. I'm Associate Minister at the Northwest Unity Baptist Church, a practicing attorney at George Cushingberry and Associates PLLC, and on leave, Adjunct Professor of Interdisciplinary Studies.
And now a brief introduction of Mr. Bowers.
Hello, thank you all so much for having us here today. My name is Richard J. Bowers, Jr. I'm running for Detroit City Council, District 2. I'm an attorney as well. I'm licensed in 2 states. I've worked at City Council for 3 different council members, mayor, and currently a city department. And I'm running for Detroit City Council because I understand how important the next 4 years is going to be. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.
So, first question is, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the city of Detroit? And if elected, how will you fix it? Let's start with you, Mr. Bowers.
I think the biggest challenge facing the city of Detroit is the lack of standardized public service. Our public safety. The public safety delivery system in the city hasn't worked for many years now, and the response time is way below the national average. I think that you will see, as you already are starting to see, that the city will start to not be in the business of a lot of delivery systems that they have been. Public safety is number one. I'm excited about the new chief that we have. I think he's made great strides already in a short amount of time. And we have to fix that, because if we can't, nothing else matters.
Mr. Cushingberry?
Well, these intractable urban problems face the world in terms of the lack of economic opportunity for many, the opportunity to move up on the economic ladder and the American dream. The city government has to be a gap filler in many cases to the failures of the marketplaces as we have known them. In addition to that, we can't have a public safety solution to a public safety problem. We've got to deal with mental health. We've got to deal with spousal and child abuse, and we've got to deal with the literacy problem if we are to really get after the public safety issue. We have more police officers, whether they be for the Detroit Public School System, the University of Detroit, Wayne State University, et cetera, than we ever had, but we're not well organized with it.
I have a question for both of you. If you could just describe, we'll start with you, Mr. Cushingberry, your vision for District 2.
Well, my vision for District 2 is green. We have to start off by cleaning the city up, start off by having an in-rim solution where we deal with one property at a time, where we take a systematic approach to dealing with the hulks, the burnout hulks, the dangerous buildings, especially around our school children and in other sensitive places where our senior citizens are. That means that the new focus has got to be a district focus where the local elected officials in these districts take responsibility and ownership for all of the problems and see to it that we are able to bring resources from a multi-level intergovernmental agreement stage to solve them. There are many innovations that we can try. We've had some success with many of them. Now we have to corral all of our resources.
Mr. Bowers. Mr. Bowers, same question. Your vision for District 2.
District 2 is a very large district, as they all are. It goes from, for those of you that may not know, John R. to Southfield Freeway, 8 Mile to McNichols, and then south of McNichols, east of Schaefer, down to Dexter and Davison, Focus Hope area. I believe that District 2 has the same ingredients that Midtown had, and perhaps even a stronger core neighborhood than Midtown had to start with. I think that we can rebuild the Livernois, 7 Mile, Greenfield, as well as the neighborhoods, create jobs, create businesses, and probably end up with something that's less of a gentrification issue as perhaps they've had in Midtown. We need to create jobs and businesses that are owned by Detroiters and help the ones that have been there for a very long time, as well as clean up Palmer Park and get the burned out houses torn down.
And you mentioned the size of your district. It's close to 106,000 residents in that district. 25% of them live in poverty. What's your solution to the question or the issue of poverty?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that the latest statistic is that there may be over 200,000 people in the city of Detroit that are actually unemployed. And if you're unemployed long enough, you're not counted in the statistics of unemployment. We need to create jobs for people by creating small businesses. There are several big box stores that have recently come to District 2, but we need to work with associations and foundations and create jobs in District 2. District 2 is primarily a bedroom community. It's where the people live. It's neighborhoods. There are a few small industrial areas, but there's so much potential for so much growth because of where it's located centrally in the metro area that the sky is the limit as to what we can accomplish.
And same question on the poverty issue.
Well, you have to remember that a good deal of the unemployment problem is because in the region, Detroit is still the place where poor people who are disabled, senior citizens, and others can find the best housing opportunities and save the most money. The reason that we have a huge unemployment problem is because the whole region also dumps its mental health issues and other problems that we face triple-fold to any other part in southeastern Michigan. So one, we have to corral the resources we have. We have to give incentives and say to the folks who have stayed and struggled and kept their businesses going that we want to be here to assist you in the growth and development of it. I started early in February up and down Livernois Avenue from 8 Mile down to Joy to encourage all kinds of businesses to continue to grow.
We've been talking about business development. I think of the Avenue of Fashion. I think of many of the streets, 6 Mile, 7 Mile, Wyoming, that 20, 30 years ago were flourishing with small businesses, and in many cases that's not the case right now. Let's start with you, Mr. Cushingberry. What exactly are you going to do to bring them back?
I disagree with you. We have a different mix of business now, but we are very vibrant. We fix cars up in Northwest Detroit. Most of the vacant places you'll find have been taken over either in tires or auto-related businesses, which is a good thing for us to do. We've got to build the networks back where we can, again, continue to encourage people to take advantage of our number one industry, the auto industry, by providing supplies, tools, and others. And then we've got to go green. We've got to come up with new ways to provide energy, show our school children ways that they can come and develop new technologies that will give us the kinds of business development that will carry us on. But we do have strong businesses. We have great restaurants, great venues. You can go up and down Livernois and hear jazz every night. We're protecting the great infrastructure.
Mr. Bowers, what will you do to help support small businesses in District 2?
There are still a lot of small businesses in District 2. I think a lot of the reason why there is so much blight is lack of code enforcement. One of the things that I would like to do for the city of Detroit is to figure out a way to lower property taxes. They are too high, and there's no faster way to put money in someone's pocket than to make their property worth more money. And it can be replaced with a local sales tax or a various number of other revenue streams, because obviously we know we're in a financial crisis, but the property taxes are too high. And if businesses that pay a higher rate no longer have as much of a tax burden We need to look at building safety engineering's fees they charge businesses, and that will encourage the ones that are there to be able to put more money into their business and new ones to come in. Because if you have an environment where it's as expensive as it possibly can be to have a business, they're not going to be likely to go there.
And Mr. Bowers, you talked about turning Livernois into a business and entertainment corridor. How will you do that in a bankrupt city?
Well, most of the businesses that have come in downtown and what you've seen have done so through private investment and corporations and that kind of thing. And the fact that the city is in bankruptcy doesn't have anything to do with that. However, what Livernois will be individual mom and pop stores, which it has always been, but you've seen more of that. And the DEGC, the DDA have given grants recently to improve the Livernois corridor. And the other night, the Light Up Livernois, you saw thousands of people walking up and down Livernois. And so creating an environment where you create a synergy to make that happen, it's just magic, because you've got people that live within blocks, thousands of people, and you've got this inner ring suburbs which are so close by, and there's a better chance for success there than almost anywhere.
And Mr. Cushingberry, as a member of the clergy, associate pastor at Northwest Unity, do you believe churches are doing enough to help the city of Detroit and its residents? And give us an example of what Northwest Unity is doing in the community.
Well, we're building new houses all around the church in an area that has been designated for a long time as a redevelopment area. We're at Ellsworth and Cherry Lawn, and if you look around between Linden and Finkel and then east and west Livernois and Wyoming, you'll see that we've built over 130 homes. And we just haven't had the cooperation from the city government to tear down the hulks that need to go, to even replace the various manhole covers when they get stolen and others, even near the church. I think what we've got to have is a government that's more oriented to in-rim, to dealing with the issues on the ground personally, and then less meetings and less pomp and circumstances, more meat and potatoes on the ground cleaning things up.
But overall, do you think churches are doing enough?
You can never do enough, not if you're really a church, because we always know that we all fall short, but we have to keep trying to bring more light to the dark areas.
Politically speaking, Detroit's in a place it's never been before. We're filing for bankruptcy. We've got an emergency manager. If elected, how do you envision your relationship with the new mayor and with the emergency manager? Let's start with you, Mr. Bowers.
I have a real decent relationship with both people that are running for mayor, and I can work with whoever is elected. As far as the emergency manager, I mean, I don't think it's a secret to any supporter of mine that I don't support the law, but as an attorney, I respect the law until the law is no longer there. And if there's an emergency manager, then I will work with him to do what's in the best interest of the citizens only.
Mr. Cushingberry?
Well, I'm proud to be a Democrat and to say and speak up that one of the number one things that we need to do is to organize so that we can change results in next year's election too. In the meantime, we've had brilliance from both Sheriff Napoleon and Prosecutor Duggan in terms of what they intend to do, and I have and supported and worked with both for many, many years. I think, though, the key thing is that we should look at what happened at the largest bankruptcy of a governmental unit, Orange County, California, as a way that we might find a solution to here in Detroit and eliminating the need for emergency managers. Detroit in the 30s was also in a bankruptcy, but it was a state bankruptcy. People often forget that we used to have two sets of codes. We have to have restraint. We have to be willing to eliminate property taxes and find alternative ways in order to grow.
And let me just follow up on that question. Do you believe that the Public Act will be overturned? And I'll put that out there for both of you.
I doubt it. I think that the political solution is the solution to the argument there, and to let it work its way through the courts, especially the federal courts. But the reality is that the council will have to vote to get us out of bankruptcy. The plan needs to be succinct. I don't know if Rick does, but I actually practice in the bankruptcy court now and then. And I know that we have about the best judge that there is there that's presiding, and that this case will be resolved in a way that will give us an opportunity to, one, protect our retirees, to make sure that we come up with the revenue that we need to see to it that we do that. Number two, that we move away from the old ways of doing things and innovate more in the way that we deliver services. When I wrote my master's thesis outside of law in the efficient delivery of local government, we always tried to figure out ways that would give us a chance to bring the people into the delivery system, because they can give you so many good ways of doing things.
And do you believe that the emergency manager law will be overturned?
That I don't know. I think that it could be, but who's to say? I mean, there's so many things right now you could speculate at, and I think that what exists right now for whoever is elected in November when it takes office in January may not even be an option to even think about. So what I do know is that I believe if you have a strong city council with the right people there and a strong mayor, that we can get the emergency manager through negotiating with the governor out long before October. And I do believe that. And another thing about the bankruptcy situation in the city of Detroit, it's important to note that once the emergency manager is gone, the council will be the trustees of the bankruptcy. And so it really matters who's there. And their term's 4 years, and I can guarantee you the emergency manager is not going to be there for 4 years.
That's so true.
We've been talking about a new mayor, both of you saying you've got relationships with each of the candidates. There are going to be several new city council members in this election. As a team, mayor and city council members, what's it going to take for that team to settle in the job and move Detroit forward? Mr. Cushingberry?
Well, number one is that we have to get to the informal organizations more that we used to have in the early days of the Young administration, where we had all the elected officials from all the various levels talking to one another regularly. Number two, we have to recognize that the new charter gives the council certain powers that it hasn't had before. One of those will be more legislative oversight. What I'm envisioning for the new council is less public meetings, less time sitting around the table, and more time in the streets. That even may mean that we will no longer be full-time employees, which is fine with me. The idea is we need a legislative branch of government that's not afraid to legislate, to offer solutions that are perhaps out the box and that are not just the regular day-to-day operations of the current city council and the previous city councils that were more form than substance.
Mr. Bowers?
Well, having worked at city council in recent years, I have a good understanding of the role of a city council member. And there are enumerated roles and there are unenumerated roles that have developed over the years, such as constituent concerns, helping them, because 311 is all but gone. The departments oftentimes don't answer the phone, so a council member is the only person that, their office is the only person that people have to contact. And we need to be in the community. There's talk that perhaps the district should have a small office of some sort in the district, which I'm in favor of. Maybe we could put it in a city-owned building so as not to incur additional expenses. But that's an important role, as well as making sure the budget is balanced and the departments have what they need to function, because we have to decide what services the city is going to be in and then do them well. And if we can't do that, then nothing else really matters.
I think voters would want to know what makes each of you uniquely qualified to be a member of City Council, emphasis on uniquely qualified.
Well, I think the most unique thing about me is that I have 30 years of legislative experience, as well as postgraduate work in urban politics, policy, and administration. In addition to that, I've had an opportunity to participate academically across the world in discussions of new ways to solve very difficult urban problems. I've been in on over 800 cases where I have had either a dispositive motion or a trial in my legal career, so I bring a good deal of experience. In my community, I tell people I'm enthusiastic, ethnic, and excellent. That's why I think I'd be the best.
Mr. Bowers?
I think I'm uniquely qualified for a city council position because I have worked for 3 very, very different council members. I've worked in the mayor's office. I've worked for a city department. I've lived in Detroit in District 2 for over 10 years in 3 houses in 3 neighborhoods. I've been to every community meeting multiple times, and I understand what the issues are in the district. And I'm as honest as the day is long. I've never been accused. I've never been sued of any wrongdoing or fraud, and I never will be.
All right. And this is a good question just to wrap things up. It's real short. Who are you supporting for mayor? Mr. Bowers.
You know, it's interesting you asked that question because it was related to the other question, and that I support the candidate that the people choose because my vote is one vote. And I have a good relationship with both of them, both Benny Napoleon and Mike Duggan, and I will support whoever the people choose to win.
So you're not endorsing either candidate?
That's correct.
Mr.
Well, I've
Cushingberry.
already previously endorsed Sheriff Napoleon before I knew Mike Duggan was running. But I can tell you either of the candidates will be a great, great improvement to what we have now.
And you have 30 seconds now to really summarize your candidacy and tell the voters why they should pick you. Let's start with Mr. Bowers.
Thank you very much again for having us. My name is Rick Bowers. I'm running for Detroit City Council District 2. I want to bring jobs back to the city of Detroit and to District 2. I want to improve public safety. I want to balance the budget. I want to be the voice for District 2 to fix the problems and fix them quickly. I want to bring green initiatives. I started the Green Task Force with Ken Cockrell when I worked there, and bring green technology to District 2. And I also want to make sure that the people's voice is heard regarding the state fairgrounds.
And quickly, Mr. Cushingberry.
Fundamentally change the way that the city council operates and the city operates to get rid of a lot of the things that they've been doing for the last decade that, in my opinion, have done more to heighten and destroy and cause this bankruptcy than anything else. To change the system so that it's more in line with the new city charter.
All right, that's all the time we have right now. Thank you, Mr. Richard Bowers Jr. and George Cushingberry Jr.
You can find all of these conversations on the myvote.org website.
For all of us at Detroit Public Television, I'm Vicki Thomas.
And I'm Jerome Vaughn. Thanks for watching.